Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, AGNDD Intelli Report topic. The first commercial space station, Haven-1, is now undergoing assembly for launch. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this partially AI-generated article-based video. The first commercial space station, Haven-1, is now undergoing assembly for launch. We have a very strong incentive to send a crew as quickly as we can safely do so. Eric Berger, January 20th, 2026, 10 a.m., Ars Technica. As Ars reported last week, NASA's plan to replace the International Space Station with commercial space stations is running into a time crunch. The sprawling International Space Station is due to be decommissioned less than 5 years from now, and the U.S. Space Agency has yet to formally publish rules and requirements for the follow-on stations being designed and developed by several different private companies. Although there are expected to be multiple bidders in Phase 2 of NASA's commercial space station program, there are at present 4 main contenders: Voyager Technologies, Axiom Space, Blue Origin, and Vast Space. At some point later this year, the space agency is expected to select one, or more likely 2, of these companies for larger contracts that will support their efforts to build their stations. To get a sense of the overall landscape as the competition heats up, Ars recently interviewed Voyager Chief Executive Dylan Taylor about his company's plans for a private station, Starlab. Today we are publishing an interview with Max Haut, the chief executive of VAST. The company is furthest along in terms of development, choosing to build a smaller interim space station, Haven-1, capable of short-duration stays. Eventually, NASA wants facilities capable of continuous habitation, but it is not clear whether that will be a requirement starting in 2030. Until today, Haven-1 had a public launch date of mid-2026. However, as Haut explained in our interview, that launch date is no longer tenable. Ars, you're slipping the launch of Haven-1 from the middle of this year to the first quarter of 2027. Why? Max Haut, this is obviously our first space station, and we're moving as safely and as fast as we can. That's the date right now that we are confident we will meet. We've been tracking that date without slip for quite a while, and that's still a year, probably 2 years or even more ahead of anyone else. It will be building the world's first commercial space station from scratch, from an empty building and no team, in under 4 years. Ars, where are you with the hardware? Haut, last Saturday, January 10th, we reached the key milestone of fully completing the primary structure and some of the secondary structure. All of the acceptance testing occurred in November as well. Now we are starting clean room integration, which starts with TCS, thermal control system, propulsion, interior shells, and then moving on to avionics. And then final closeout, which we expect will be done by the fall, and then we have on the books with NASA a full test campaign at the end of the year at Plum Brook, then the launch in Q1 next year. Ars, what happens after you launch Haven-1? Haut, we are not launching Haven-1 with crew inside. It's a 15-ton, very valuable and expensive satellite, but still no humans involved, launching on a Falcon 9. So then we have a period that we can monitor it and control it uncrewed and confirm everything is functioning perfectly, right? We are holding pressure. We are controlling attitude. These checkouts can happen in as little as 2 weeks. At the end of it, we have to basically convince SpaceX, both contractually and with many verification events, that it will be safe to dock Dragon. And if they agree with the data we provide them, they will put a fully trained crew on board Dragon and bring them up. It could be as early as 2 weeks after, and it could be as late as any time within 3 years, which is a lifetime of Haven-1. But we have a very strong incentive to send a crew as quickly as we can safely do so. Ars, have you picked the crew yet? Haut, we are in deep negotiations, maybe more than that, with both private individuals and nation-states. But there's nothing we are ready to announce yet, especially with the Q1 launch date. In our desire to follow with the crew right after, this is now becoming pretty urgent. We believe with our partner at SpaceX, 1 year for training is very comfortable, and we think we can compress it to maybe as little as 6 months for both training on Dragon and Haven-1, so long as we have an experienced crew. So we have a bit of time left to announce it. Ours. You mentioned Haven-1 has a 3-year lifetime. How many crews will you try to cycle through? Hout. The nominal plan is for a 2-week mission, and we have one fully contracted with SpaceX, as well as a second one that we have a deposit and an option on. And then we plan to do 2 more. That's assuming they are 10-day missions with 2 days of transfer on either side, so 2-week missions. We also have the option to maybe do a 30-day mission if we want. So the exact duration and makeup will be decided as we make progress with customers and potentially NASA. Ours. What is the plan after Haven-1? Hout. If you look at the first module of our second station, what will be the difference? We have 2 docking ports, not 1. We expect to have more power and potentially more volume depending on the launch vehicle. What you see on our website and what we do might be different. We have a lot of optionality. But other than that, it's all of the exact same components of Haven Demo and Haven-1, which are basically being iterated on. And so that's the key. The life support system, the air revitalization system, the software, the primary structure. The first module of Haven-2 will be just tweaks on Haven-1. That's why we think we're in the best position of all of the competitors. And that's not been enabled by chance, right? It's been enabled by a $1 billion investment in 1,000 employees and all the facilities to mass produce the follow-on modules. Ours. NASA is nearing the second phase of its competition for commercial space stations, known as CLDs. Do you plan to compete with Haven-1 or Haven-2 for these contracts? Hout. We have not decided because, as you know, it's unclear yet what the requirements will be. Will they be asking for a 30-day demonstration flight? On our end, it's unclear if we want to bid that 30-day demonstration with Haven-1 or Haven-2 with 2 or 3 modules. If they ask for a 30-day mission, we have the option to offer it on Haven-1 in 2027 if we want to. Ours. Last week, a key space staffer in the U.S. Senate, Maddie Davis, said she was begging for NASA to release the Phase 2 request for proposals that would set the ground rules for the CLD competition. Do you feel the same way? Hout. VAST is dedicated to ensuring we have continuous human presence in low Earth orbit after the ISS is retired. The date we are aiming at is end of 2030. Maddie mentioned an ISS extension. We agree for America, if no one is ready, it should be extended. But in our view, we will be ready. And we need to make sure we're ready to start a continuous crewed mission by the end of 2030. That's less than 5 years away now, right? So we definitely agree with the sentiment, and I think the full industry agrees, and I'm pretty sure Jared Isaacman also agrees that it is overdue, and it's time to make a decision and release an RFP. Ours. What do you hope to see in that RFP when it comes to requirements? Hout. We obviously can't decide what NASA will do, and we will be competitive in whatever they decide. But there's a few key recommendations we feel strongly about. The first one is that, as they consider whether they proceed with a demonstration mission or something else, we think they should focus on what is right for the country. What we are hearing is that they are trying to tweak the approach to do something fair to all of the bidders. And I don't think it should matter whether people have been doing a right thing or wrong thing, and whether what's right for the country puts somebody in a better position or not. The second piece, obviously, is to move faster, which we just talked about. The third piece is that we think it's really important that they require a demonstration. If you look at every human spaceflight program in history, none of them went straight from the program starting to a long-duration mission on a spacecraft. They all had a stepping stone, and right now, none of us has proven we can have humans safely on orbit in a space station, and so in our view, they should require demonstration, and not on the eve of January 1st, 2031. They should require a demonstration with crew as quickly as possible before they buy services. Ours. You mentioned doing the right thing for the country. What does that mean for NASA? Hout. It means you're focused on commercial stations being ready by 2030, so there is not a need to extend the ISS. And it means ensuring we have not just one winner, but two in case history repeats itself, such as Boeing and SpaceX in crew transportation. Ours. Do you think the government has committed enough funding to make the commercial space station program a success? Hout. I'm a vendor, and obviously I'd like as much buffer as possible and as much funding as possible. With the current budget, we don't think more than 2 winners is reasonable, but it should absolutely be 2 in the best interest of the country. If there was a bigger budget, obviously 3 would be great. And so, if you look at the CLD budget line, which is approved for next year, projected over 5 years for development, and you assume 2 winners, and then services that come later, we are confident we can be successful and profitable with 2 companies operating. Obviously, we also need international customers, right? We need Europe. We need Japan, where we just opened a subsidiary. We need all the new emerging human spaceflight nations in the Middle East, in Europe, in Asia, and a little bit of private spaceflight. We're not in a space tourism era in orbit, but there are still some private individuals willing to fund a mission and do important work. With that, we get to profitability. We think a big differentiator of VAST is that we are really excited and eager to unlock the orbital economy. I'm talking about in-space semiconductor, fiber, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and so on. We think that's our upside. We want to unlock it, but we don't know how quickly it will happen or how big it will be. What we do know is, whoever has a platform up there with flight crew, facilities, and power will be the one unlocking it. But in our business model, if that's delayed, we can still be profitable. Eric Berger is the senior space editor at Ars Technica, covering everything from astronomy to private space to NASA policy, and author of 2 books, Liftoff, about the rise of SpaceX, and Re-entry, on the development of the Falcon 9 rocket and Dragon. A certified meteorologist, Eric lives in Houston. Comments. John D.L., Ars Tribunus Angusta Clavius. This looks like a very nice successor to the ISS. I hope that it flies on schedule and everything goes as planned, or better. I look forward to watching it fly overhead in the night sky. Quamquam, quid locor ars tribunus militum. Dark Jaguar said, the profit motive is going to kill these poor people. Poor engineering and management is what kills people, not a profit motive. You can have that in a for-profit and not-for-profit environment. S. Bradford 26, Ars Scoli Palatini. Somehow 3-year feels like a long lifetime for a first attempt and at the same time a very short lifetime. I would be interested in what their goal projected lifespan is for Haven-2. If you can launch new stations regularly at a lower cost, you probably don't need to design them to the same level as the ISS. Dan Corcoran, Smack Fu Master in training. I'm so excited for the team putting this together. Just wondering if it needs much more fly, fail, fix, repeat designed into the plan. You know hardware rich to have a 50/50th chance at 2030 time frame of being NASA ready. Are space stations different to not do the same as SpaceX, Malmesbury, Ars Centurion? Imagine Boeing or Lockheed advocating for competition, rather than gimme everything on a cost plus. And that feeds back into safety. Boeing failed with Starliner, and to their surprise, it wasn't just another buy Boeing anyway. Boeing only survived the 737 MAX because there are no alternatives. Airbus is booked for decades, so if the airlines canceled, they have nothing else to buy. B. It must have been a shock to find that they are being relegated to hauling t-shirts and Tang. If these guys fuck up, it won't be just a congressional inquiry, some people retiring and then back to business. See Apollo 204 onwards. Dan Corcoran, Smack Fu Master in training. Great article. An idea for a future interview. How would you handle a Starship docking? Or, had you thought to design for a Starship docking, seeking to get SpaceX to be a customer rather than a vendor? Tinolin, Ars Scoli Palatini. This is probably a stupid question. Why hasn't NASA and these companies considered replacing parts of the ISS on a rotating basis instead of an all-or-nothing station? NASA could ship of Theseus the ISS that way, sort of anyway. Card_catalog Rs Centurion. Will they deorbit Haven-1 at end of life, or will they add on to it, or just space junk? Stefan_like, I like Vast. They seem very focused and well run, with good program management. Also, what madness is this? Actually testing your life support system before you put crew on board? My God, what will they think of next? Jed Hardy said, "It's funny that none of these companies ever mention whether or not adult entertainment plays an explicit role in their business plans. Because if we're behind honest, blackjack and hookers is probably where the money is." Distinctively Canuck, 100 Mile High Club would probably make them a bunch of money too. Drew W. Microgravity plus the cardio effects of Viagra plus the horrible physical conditioning of most billionaires makes it super risky for sex tourism. Imagine the PR nightmare of a stiff Elon corpse with a stiffy bouncing off the walls of Haven-1 while NASA admins panic a la death of Stalin.
Thank you for watching this AGNDD Intelli report, dear viewers. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.